Mr. President, I rise to speak in strong support of plans to increase our nation's overtime pay threshold for the first time in over a decade and restore meaning to the threshold that has significantly eroded over the last 40 years. In 1938, Congress passed the Fair Labor Standards Act, and President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed the bill into law. This landmark legislation represents an important promise that is as true today as it was 77 years ago, that if you work hard and play by the rules, you will have a secure future. Ensuring fair overtime pay for employees is one of the most critical components of the Fair Labor Standards Act. It ensures that hardworking Americans are able to make an honest wage for their hard work. For middle-class families, who are the backbone of our country, and for those families working hard to get there, we must protect the important safeguards put in place by the Fair Labor Standards Act. I personally learned the value of hard work and the importance of protecting labor standards for all Americans from my mother, Madeline. Born a French citizen, she met my father during World War II, married him, and moved to this country. She later worked as a nurse's aide, and while she enjoyed working with her parents, she did not like the way she or her co-workers were treated by their employer. So she fought for a better workplace and ultimately to win union representation. She later went on to serve as a union steward. A strong labor movement nationwide has helped build economic opportunity for millions of Americans just like my mother, standing together to call for fair wages, safer workplaces, and better hours. American workers and their families help build the American middle class and make the American dream a reality for regular folks. The strong protections of the Fair Labor Standards Act help ensure that American workers have a minimum wage, a 40-hour work week, and overtime pay. Unfortunately, we have allowed these protections to fall behind present-day needs, and today growing income inequality and stagnant wages are a serious threat to our middle class, to our economy, and to our democracy. Americans are working harder and harder only to fall further and further behind, receiving less and less pay for their long hours. Middle-class families are struggling to stay afloat, and those who aspire to be in the middle class are finding it more and more difficult to achieve it. Today, some employees are required to put 50 or 60 hours or more in a week and are not receiving any overtime pay for their efforts. Our nation's overtime pay rules are long overdue for an update. Decades of inflation have outpaced the current overtime pay threshold of $23,600 and eroded the value of the honest paycheck for millions of hardworking Americans. This means a worker earning only $23,600 gets paid the same whether they are working 40 hours or 60 hours in a week. That's simply unacceptable. This is not a fair wage, and it's not the American dream we fought for to secure for generations. If we are truly committed to building a strong American economy, then we have to make sure that American families can thrive. Raising the salary threshold for overtime pay will help nearly 5 million workers across the country, and as many as 100,000 workers in Michigan earn better wages for their hard work. The pillars used to build and grow our middle class and support our democracy are in jeopardy of crumbling if we do not stand up and protect them. The American middle class and those who aspire to be in it are the heart and soul of our country, and we have an obligation to help every family nationwide realize their version of the American dream. My home state of Michigan is the birthplace of our nation's auto industry, where American workers and their families help build the middle class and make the American dream a reality for millions of people. We owe it to our future generations to preserve this legacy. Now, I know there are some who do not believe we should update the overtime pay rules. They will oppose this rule, saying it's a harmful attack on our nation's business community. Well, I strongly disagree with this position. Prior to coming to Congress, I worked in business for more than 20 years, and I hired many people. I found that paying employees a fair wage is the best way to ensure a happy and productive workforce. It is good business, and it is the right thing to do. Providing a fair paycheck to hardworking Americans so they can build their family and own a home and help save for their children's college education as well as enjoy a secure retirement is good for business, and it is good for our country. Workers who are paid fairly for their work are able to spend their hard-earned money in their communities, creating new customers for local businesses, and in the process, help our economy grow. If we invest in American workers, the best and brightest in the world, we will get a strong return on that investment. Enforcing the Fair Labor Standards Act gives American workers a fair wage for a fair day's work, and it will help keep the possibility of the American dream alive. We must do what's right for our workers. Updating the overtime pay rule will give millions of Americans a wage increase that they have earned, provide economic stability and security for hardworking families while boosting our economy. I am proud to support these efforts, and I urge my colleagues to do the same. I yield the floor.